Hi guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Cass. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm really gonna deep dive into what it's like living in New York, how the apartment style is, living there, rent, everything. I just thought this video would be helpful for anyone who is looking to move to New York, or if you're just curious to know what it's like living here and how the lifestyle is. I am excited to share this with you. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe because it's all New York content. I love sharing my life and bringing you guys along with me. So first things first, a little backstory. I was born and raised in Hawaii, and I went to college in Las Vegas, and after I graduated, I went back to Hawaii for 6 months. I graduated in May 2021. And then I visited New York to see if I would potentially want to live here in November 2021, and I moved to New York January 2022. So it was a pretty short turnaround time from visiting New York, deciding that I wanted to live here, to living here 2 months later. It was not really planned. It was more of like a spur of the moment type of thing, and just having to figure out everything was stressful. But that's why I'm here to tell you guys what to do, how to do it, and also just everything you need to know. I'm just gonna get straight into it, and if I miss anything, I can always just talk about it in another video, because I am gonna do a moving series because I am moving out of this apartment. And sorry if the construction is really loud, they're always doing construction outside. I'm moving to another apartment, and it's gonna be an entire different neighborhood, so I will talk about where I'm living now and give you the rundown, since I've been living in this apartment for almost a year now. First things first, whether you're moving in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, literally anywhere in New York, you are gonna wanna use StreetEasy. And StreetEasy is the best platform that everyone here uses to find apartments, houses. Even if you wanted to buy a place, you can find that all in StreetEasy, and it's so simple to use. I use that for this apartment and the apartment that I am going to be living in, and you can reach out to the real estate agents straight from the app or the website. And yeah, it's really convenient. My number one tip when coming to apartment hunting in New York is do not hesitate. If you find something that you love, you have to put in the offer, or have to apply right then and there in that same day, because it's very, very possible from experience that the next day it won't be there, because there's thousands and thousands of people looking for apartments, probably very similar to all the criteria that you need. And if they see something that they love, there's going to be so many people applying at the same time that even for a split second you think, I love it and I could see myself living here, then do it. Especially if you're looking for an apartment during the peak times of the year, which is basically spring, summer, fall. It's gonna be a very, very high competition against so many other people trying to find an apartment at the same time. However, if you are moving in the winter just like I am, the market sucks. There's so many options that are really horrible. Just from having to deal with moving in the winter twice, I had the hardest time finding this apartment that I'm in. It was so many trial and errors, and I honestly settled for this apartment. It wasn't like I was like, oh my gosh, I love this apartment so much, I need it. It was more so, I'm running out of time, I have a deadline, or I have a date that I'm set to move, and I need an apartment. And a lot of people in New York actually find an apartment a week or a couple of weeks before even moving. So it's very possible. Some people just fly to New York and live in a hotel for a week, and they find an apartment then. So it's very possible. It just depends on, I guess, the way that you want to go about it. I'm a very big planner, so it's very stressful for me when it comes to apartment hunting here, especially because I like to weigh out my options. I like to plan the pros and the cons. I'm like, oh, what about this one? Well, no, you can't do that, because if you see something that you like, there's probably hundreds of other people that also really love that apartment too. So at the end of the day, it just comes down to quick decision thinking and making sure you know what you want, you have all your criteria set, and you have all your paperwork ready. Because for this apartment and the new apartment that I got, it was a 24-hour turnaround. I applied on like a Monday, got the apartment on Tuesday. It's so quick, and you and the real estate agent are back and forth for the entire day. I was emailing with this real estate agent until like almost midnight, and then on Tuesday afternoon I got the apartment. So it's very, very quick, and there's very little time to, I guess, really let it sit that you're gonna get this apartment, just because it's so fast. And I also recommend right after you get your apartment, delete Street Easy. Delete all of the apps that you use to apartment hunt, because you don't want to get your feelings hurt if a new apartment comes on the market that you love even more. So just shut it off. Save yourself from being sad and delete the app. Alright, let's talk about the cost to get an apartment. So New York is crazy, and in order to secure an apartment, you need to be making at least 40 times the rent. And if you're not, you can use a third-party insurance such as Insurance or Rhino or some other third-party insurance. So along with that, that's just like the minimum requirement, basically, is 40 times the rent. If you're gonna get a guarantor, they need to be making 80 times the rent. And after that, say you qualify, okay, now you're gonna have the application fee. There's some apartments that have application fees for $500, which is insane. And application fee, a lot of them are maybe like 100, sometimes less, sometimes way more application fee. And then some apartments have move in and move out fee, which could be $1,000 each, which is crazy because you have to pay $1,000 to move in and move out when you're already paying the rent. Some apartments are like that. Also, you get charged for the credit check. I inquired for one apartment, and their credit check was $250. I was paying them $250 to check my credit, and I was like, no thank you, that's not gonna fly with me. And then also there's the first and last month of rent, of course, to secure it. I feel like that's pretty standard for most apartments in the US. But the thing that can get you is the broker fee. So the broker fee, you can see this on Street Easy. It'll say no fee or fee. A broker's fee is basically either 15% of the annual rent or up to 2 months of rent. This was my biggest mistake when getting my first apartment in New York. Unless you can freely afford this, I do not recommend getting a broker on top of an apartment with a broker fee. And I did not know this, so I hired a broker. So I knew I was gonna pay a broker fee. That's fine. But what got me is that I ended up getting this apartment, and it had a broker fee. So I had 2 brokers fees. I was absolutely mind blown when I got the invoice because I was so confused. So I hired a broker, and that's 1 month of rent. And this apartment also had a broker. So I guess I had 2 brokers, or this had a broker fee, I don't know. So that was another rent. Then I had to pay first and last month of rent. So you can just imagine how much money that is just to secure an apartment. Again, I'm very grateful that I'm able to live in New York and afford this, but that much money to be living in a building that has no laundry, no updated amenities or appliances, not renovated at all, living in a studio with no groceries around the corner, and there's no laundromat around the corner. So there's a lot of inconveniences that was like, I don't know. So I would recommend not working with a broker and going on Street Easy and looking for no fee apartments. It's a filter that you can add, so if you really only strictly want no fee apartments, which is what I did for the second round, and I got an apartment with no fee and no broker, so it was just first last month of rent. Amazing, plus like application fees and stuff. But it was amazing, and I'm so happy about it because I was not about to drop that much money again. And I just don't want any of you guys to make that mistake, because I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew that I was working with a broker, but I didn't realize that if I'm working with a broker and I get an apartment with a broker fee, that I'm paying 2 brokers fees. That was my biggest mistake. Do not do that, because it is just so much money wasted just to secure an apartment. So unless it's like your dream apartment that you're absolutely loving and you just will see yourself living there for years and years and years, don't do it. Just trust me. Basically, if you live in New York, you are sacrificing a lot more than if you were to live in literally anywhere else, I think. So I want this video to be very helpful, so I'm going to be very transparent to give you the entire lowdown. So I live in Midtown right now, which is near Times Square. I live in a studio and I pay $2,500 each month for rent, not including utilities, Wi-Fi, things like that. My apartment building does not have laundry. It does have an elevator though, which is nice, but there's no doorman, no like package room. All the packages are dropped right when you walk in. There's just a pile of packages, and that's how a lot, I'd say majority of the buildings are, unless you have a doorman. You just see piles of packages, which is not the best because I struggle a lot with most of my packages arriving safely, but I have like 25% that always gets stolen. I know for a lot of people it's a make or break kind of deal when it comes to having a doorman. People need doormen, so it just depends on, you know, your level of comfortability. It's just something that I was okay with sacrificing, especially since I've never lived in New York. It wasn't the best, but there are worse places, I'm sure, that have less security, because my building has double doors. You have to buzz in, things like that. Not having laundry does suck. I have a portable laundry. If you saw my earlier vlogs when I first moved into this apartment, if you haven't, I'll just link it down below so you can see all of that. I have a portable laundry thing. You put it in the tub or you can put it at the kitchen sink, fill it with water. It takes maybe 30 minutes to do a full load or a load, and then I do a couple of loads and that's it. You air dry it, and that's basically how I do it. When I first moved here, I was trying to get quoted for weekly laundry services, and it was about $50 to $60 standard a week for laundry. But my new apartment does have a washer and dryer, because that's just one of those things. After living in New York for a year, it's just a non-negotiable at this point. I need laundry in the unit. But a lot of people don't mind it because they can just easily have a laundromat around the corner, but I don't have a laundromat for at least a few blocks, so it's just really inconvenient for me. Also, I don't have any grocery stores around me because Midtown is a very touristy shopping area. It's not very residential at all. And other just very minor complaints is just it's a pre-war building that's not renovated, so it's much older. Just in general, the area itself is very crowded, especially during the holidays, which I'm dealing with right now. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't have a ton of like complaints about the aesthetics or whatever, because I did really enjoy living here for a year. It has been great, and I do like the area to a certain extent, but when it comes to just convenience, it's just not convenient at all. But I am grateful that I was able to get this apartment and in this area, and it's been such a great time, but it's time to move on. I'm also going to include an apartment tour just so you can see the space that I'm living in, for the rent that I pay, plus the missing amenities, so you can get an idea of what you can get in the Midtown area. I really can't speak for the other areas, but just to give a brief overview of like what I've seen on Street Easy, plus what I've been told from friends from their living experiences. So Midtown is very central. It's basically the Times Square area. Everything under that and below gets very expensive, especially if you're going to Lower East Side, to Soho especially, Murray Hill, Chelsea, West Village, Tribeca. those areas are very populated with a younger crowd. It's where all the things are happening, all the events, all the stores, all the shops, the bars, the, I don't know, I guess clubs. I don't really go out, so I don't know. But it's very central and there's always things happening. So if you want to have that experience, if you just want to be surrounded by a very lively New York experience, New York lifestyle, then definitely live in downtown area. And then when it comes to FIDI, which is Financial District, this is the very bottom of Manhattan. It's very quiet because it's all building. It's the Financial District, so Wall Street area. It closes right after it closes and everyone goes home. It's dead silent. It's not very lively at all. People told me that when they lived in FIDI, it was also kind of creepy feeling because of how quiet it is, because literally no one's in that area unless it's during the day. The higher you go, the more affordable it gets, to a certain extent, of course, but for the most part, the Upper East Side, Upper West Side, and Harlem and above are way more affordable than if you were to go down, especially because Upper East and Upper West, it's very family oriented, very residential. You see a lot of people just walking their dogs, going to the parks, because it's also near Central Park, so there's a lot of families in that area. And yeah, that's pretty much a lowdown on what I know. Of course, I've only been here for a year, so this is just from hearing people talk about these things, asking questions about different neighborhoods. That's just the conclusion that I've gone to. But if you do live in New York, you're born and raised, you've been here for a while, please in the comments let me know. Just give a more descriptive rundown of the different areas in Manhattan. And I can only speak for Manhattan because I live in this borough. I've never lived in any other borough, so I can't speak for that. But if you do know more of the living situation, the rent situation, just what you can get in different areas in the different boroughs, please comment down below. It would be very helpful for everyone. I just want to say that I really enjoy living in New York. I can see myself living here for quite some time. I was actually planning on moving to California before New York because I always saw New York as my end goal because I just love it here. It's always been a dream to live here, but I ended up just jumping the gun and coming here first, and now I just can't see myself living anywhere else. I'm just gonna bring this video to an end. Please let me know if you have any other questions and come along with me for my moving series. I'm moving out of here at the end of December, so I'm really excited, and I'm just gonna do a bunch of moving vlogs. I have no idea when this video is gonna be up, probably right before my moving vlog comes into play, but I just wanted to start this early in case I forget anything and I need to add anything. Thank you so much for watching. Follow me along in my New York City journey by subscribing and following me on other socials. Everything is down below. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here with me and spend this time, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.